It's been a pretty quiet summer here on the Bills Breakdown, and I am here to try to build this channel back up. So on today's show, I'm asking the Bills Mafia to help me break a record. The most likes that we've gotten on a video this summer, this barren summer of content on the channel, is 404. On today's video, can we beat it? If you love your Buffalo Bills and you're ready for the regular season, go down below and hit that thumbs up icon like today's video. Your Buffalo Bills just underwent some of the most important practices of the preseason. So on today's show, we're going to recap those practices as we've gotten some great and some bad news as we head into preseason week 3. Couple of new injury designations as well. Let's talk about it. Hop right in. News from practice. Look, Wednesdays was pretty sloppy, all things considered, and it's been a pretty sloppy preseason for the most part. It has been, especially considering week 2, you didn't put any points up on the board, and Week 1, you let the Giants run all over you, or I guess walk all over you in that case. It's been a pretty sloppy preseason from your Buffalo Bills, and that kind of continued on Wednesday. Matt Perino saying this: sloppy practice for the Bills offense. Several pre-snap penalties led to a frustrated Sean McDermott. The entire offense had to run this and sprint the length of the field twice. Josh Allen and company got things going in red zone work with a few nice TDs. Good day for the defense, though, overall. Look, it's been a sloppy preseason. The starters really haven't played, though, and if you look back at the Bills' preseason history of the last couple of years, it hasn't been all that pretty, and then once the regular season rolls around, switch has kind of flipped. They've kind of had this mentality for a while now, but I'm a little bit concerned because it's the same old song and dance, right? Like, there doesn't seem to be a lot of concern from Sean McDermott. It doesn't seem to be a lot of discipline on this football team right now, and we're seeing that leak into their preseason action as well. A lot of pre-snap penalties over there too. And that begs the question, I'm not going to harp on it too much because it's really not a conversation we need to be having right now, but is this a hot seat season for Sean McDermott? If they kind of, I guess, underperform, or the expectation right now is to go out and win the AFC. It's going to be in the Super Bowl. So if they fall short of that expectation again, like, do they start asking questions about Sean McDermott's future with this football team? Like, that's something that I'm thinking about in the back of my head right now, but it's these microcosms from months like August that leak all the way into February. So nothing too crazy to speculate on right now, but I keep that in the back of your mind if the Bills underwhelm again once they get to the late postseason. What about injuries? As there have been injuries kind of all around. I had injuries at receiver, and then we just keep hearing more and more. Some good news in the injury front, but some bad news as well. Let's start here with Dalton Kincaid. Matt Perino reporting this as well. He was on the wrong end of some friendly fire from Taylor Rapp. A deep middle ball from Josh Allen during team drills. Rapp was trying to play the ball and put a hit on Kincaid, who was down for a few moments. Rapp immediately put his hand up to signal his mistake, and Kincaid did not return to team drills, but did run off the field on his own. He was on the sideline for the remainder of practice with his helmet. So it should be all clear for Dalton Kincaid, but definitely scary there. I don't mind seeing Rapp a little bit physical here, but we want to keep these guys ready to roll for the regular season. And a guy who might have not made the Bills' regular season roster, it's some unfortunate news for him. Grant DuBose was carted off the practice field today after going down to the ground in a one-on-one drill. He dove for the football and appeared to land awkwardly on his shoulder. Was tended by the athletic trainers before the cart ultimately came out. So that's unfortunate for him. This is a guy who is probably looking to get some tape on, some tape on film this upcoming game, preseason week 3, the finale, to see if he could land on a practice squad or somewhere else around the NFL. That's probably going to be a little bit more of an uphill battle for him now. It didn't really seem like he was going to be a part of the Bills for the foreseeable future anyways. Tuesday, though, there was a bunch of injury designations. We had some guys limited and not practicing at all. Connor McGovern had a hamstring. He was limited. Javon Solomon, he was limited, but he came back to practice on Wednesday with a real wrapped up hand. So we'll see how that progresses along there. Edifam Olufishio, was limited with a toe. Keontae Jenkins with an ankle. He did not practice on Tuesday. And then Nelson Caesar, he with a shoulder. He was limited as well. So the Bills with a bunch of injuries here. And we have a couple more practice takeaways to get to in just a moment. But I got to tell you guys about our proud sponsor on the video before we go any further. And that is Prize Picks. Prize Picks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports platform because it's daily fantasy made easy. With football season right here on the doorstep right now, now is the time to get on Prize Picks, where you can win up to 2,000 times your money watching your Buffalo Bills each weekend. When you sign up using our promo code CLNS, we're going to hook you guys up with a fat deal on Prize Picks. When you play your first $5 entry, you get $50 for free instantly. Now you might be asking me, Tyler, how do you place an entry on Prize Picks? You're talking gibberish to me right now. It's super simple. Just pick 2 to 6 players and just pick more or less on their projected stats. Here's an example for you guys for week 1 for your Buffalo Bills. James Cook to get in that paint more than half a rushing or receiving touchdown. And then Josh Allen go on the ground more than 34.5 rushing yards. Also, I have Avery Johnson with a fresh deal for college football week 0. More than half a passing yard. Go take advantage of that deal right now on Prize Picks. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use the promo code CLNS for $50 instantly when you place your first $5 entry. You don't need to win that entry to receive the $50. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks. Run your game. All that information will be clickable down in the comment section and description of today's video. More injury notes from Tuesday here. As far as the more long-term injuries that we've been hearing about throughout training camp and the preseason, Khalil Shakir, with that ankle injury, he appears on track for week 1. Tyler Bass, he looks to be kicking in the preseason finale. That is at least the hope from Sean McDermott, as they did release Chad Davis here this week. It looks like Bass is going to be back and your only kicker on the roster. And then Maxwell Harrison, it's unfortunate. This is more of the bad news in the Bills injury camp, as he's still dealing with that knee injury. And Sean McDermott says he's progressing well, but he's definitely still a ways away still. As far as some good injury news, and Curtis Samuel coming back to practice here, he continues to work with Josh Allen and ramp up his workload here. He's been in 11-on-11s. He's been in 7-on-7s, and that's just good to see him getting his work ramp back up, because he's one of the more familiar faces in that Bills wide receiver room. Let's talk about that wide receiver room for just a second here, as they got to make some moves, honestly, because 1 through 8, they're not going to carry 8 receivers on this team. There are 8 receivers that probably belong on an NFL roster. Could Curtis Samuel end up being a potential player that gets cut or moved here over the next couple of days? What about Elijah Moore? Is he going to make this roster? That's all yet to be determined, but we do know that Brandon Beane could potentially make a trade down the line here. He's no stranger to pre-roster cut-down day trades, and there's receiver needy teams out there across the league. Jets are one of those teams. Diana Rossetti reporting this as well. They're in the market for potential receiver additions. The 49ers and Vikings are also making calls as well. So could an Elijah Moore be out there as far as one of those teams being interested? I don't think they're going to trade Tyrell Shavers. He provides too much special teams help for them. But could Curtis Samuel be another name? Like, they could maybe decide between those two guys. Maybe even a KJ Hamler as well as a name that could be on the trade block. Let's move on to the next stop here with Keon Coleman. That's a player that's not going to be traded from this Buffalo Bills receiving core. The Bills and their coaching staff have already kind of cemented that they have a established 1 through 3. That is Keon Coleman, Joshua Palmer, and then Khalil Shakir, obviously in the slot. And Keon Coleman continues to impress. He's been the darling of training camp and the preseason so far. Deion Dawkins had big-time praise for him this week at practice. He said, Keon is not the same player as last year. The league better get ready. Look, I have high hopes for Keon Coleman, because Josh Allen needs a true X receiver on the boundary here, and I'm hoping he can provide more than just straight vertical threat. Go high point the football. I want to see an extensive route tree here this season from Keon Coleman, and maybe be one of the more versatile receivers in the AFC. I'm excited, and I know the people that are around him that are coaching him up have high praise for him as well. Joe Brady saying this on Keon Coleman: last year, he's a rookie and probably scared to death of the starting quarterback, of talking. Now he's comfortable. He feels comfortable telling quarterback Josh Allen if it was a bad throw. So he's on that comfort level. Yes, he's being more physical and understands his release game and how he needs to play. The intensity has been really fun to watch. And then Josh saying this: I think maturation in terms of being a professional, doing things the right way, said Allen. He's asked to do a lot in this offense. We're asking him to do more now, too. And Joe Brady always says the reward for doing is the opportunity to do more. Well, it's not like he's going to do more this upcoming weekend, because the starters are not expected to play this Saturday. But that tells me that they have so much faith in Keon Coleman. They don't need to see anything more than what he's already shown them in practice this offseason. So they're expecting him to be, a number 1 receiver in one of the best offenses in the NFL, or at least the number 1 receiver on the boundary. And that's a big responsibility, a big weight on Keon Coleman's shoulders. We're yet to see if he's up to the task of that, but we'll see if he can cross that 1,000-yard mark, which would signify to me that he has done the proper improvement that he's needed this offseason. What do you guys think? Predict it for me. 1,000 yards for Keon Coleman? I just alluded to it. Over or under? Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section, if he can be that number 1 receiver in Buffalo or not. A little bit of bad news from practice here is something that we've kind of known, and something that I made a video about yesterday on the channel. the safety room is still a major, major concern. And I didn't include this quote because it came out actually right after we had stopped filming that video. Sean McDermott said this about the safety position: "We're looking for that other safety to play alongside T. Rapp. Looking for who it is going to be, how consistent can they become." And that last line about how consistent can they become, that was talking about some of the youth in that safety room. Talking about Jordan Hancock, but probably more specifically talking about Cole Bishop. And look, this Bills safety depth chart is not very inspiring right now. I have Bishop slotted in as that starting strong safety, but I mean, I don't know if DeMar Hamlin's going to end up winning the job over him. We're probably going to see both those guys play a little bit this weekend, but that's still a strong battle. Could they go after somebody that is, maybe a little bit more experienced out there in NFL free agency right now? Doesn't seem like they're going in that direction, but if they really don't like what they see from Bishop and Hamlin this weekend, that's absolutely on the table. Bishop has been coming back from an injury, and Bobby Babich, the defensive coordinator, did say this: "We're seeing progress, but maybe delayed progress." He does like where he's at health-wise, but he's still not all the way back there. And Sean McDermott also said this about Cole Bishop here. He said, I really feel like Cole, from the time that he's come back, it's just been a short runway to this point. He continues to improve. He's shown to this point that he has the ability, the skill level can be there. We're just not there yet. And so his refining process, if you will, goes one day at a time, one rep at a time. We're just kind of getting started because of what wasn't with his availability. Again, it affects that. So he really isn't all the way back. I got to see more Cole Bishop on Saturday. I got to see more before we get to this regular season, before I can truly anoint him as that starting safety. Me putting him as strong safety one is more of an indictment on DeMar Hamlin than it is praise of Cole Bishop here. I'm just going with the youth. I'm going with the second-round draft capital, and hopefully we see him play a little bit better than he did against Chicago. If you got to pick one to start here, who's it going to be, DeMar Hamlin or Cole Bishop? Type CB if you want Cole Bishop at strong safety one, or DeMar Hamlin. What do you guys think? DM in the comment section if you guys want number 3 in that starting slot. Last bit of news from practice: Joey Bosa. The Bills probably are, you could argue, the marquee free agent addition of the summer. Maybe it's Josh Palmer, and I think that's going to be an underrated addition for Buffalo, and that's going to be known to casual NFL fans very, very soon. But Joey Bosa is the hot name that Buffalo brought in this offseason, but he's not been playing a whole heck of a lot over the past few seasons. Obviously, last year he played 14 games, but wasn't super healthy in nearly the majority of those. He is 30 years old, but he's been making waves throughout the preseason. He's been making waves in training camp. He's been just probably the best overall outside of Greg Rousseau, Bills defensive lineman, that they're going to have on the roster this upcoming year. Babich said this: high praise for Joey Bosa. I think Joey's done a good job. Joey is an incredible dude. Wants to assimilate to what we're doing. If he makes a mistake, it weighs on him heavily. He doesn't want to let his teammates down. He has been a welcome addition. And then we heard this from Dion Dawkins. Shout out to AJ for getting this quote on the Twitter sphere. He says he notices when Joey Bosa is up against him and how to have that fear factor along a defensive line will be a handful for other teams. Quote, Joey definitely, whoa, he's just got passed. I definitely had no have my eye raised when I'm lined up against him. He strikes fear into offensive linemen. This is a Pro Bowl offensive lineman that we're talking about right here in Dion Dawkins. I'm very excited for Joey Bosa to help not only both in the pass rush game and in the run game as well. He's just a menace, a football player. Those Bosas know how to play. Comment 97 down below his new jersey number with Buffalo if you're hyped up, if you're fired up to watch Joey Bosa on Sundays. I know that I am, and I'm going to get my 97s down in the comment section as well. That will do it for today's edition of the Bills Breakdown by Chat Sports. Make sure you give me a follow over on Twitter at Tyler J. Smith, 2 H's because the name's pretty common. And make sure you are subscribed to the channel. That will do it for today's edition of the Bills Breakdown. See you guys in the next one. And as always, let's go Buffalo.